Hello there, and welcome to the tour of the Bobcat HoverTruck, the fourth vehicle in my Armoured Fighting Hover Vehicles series of vehicles. My name is Wimperman, and I am the Chief Designer, Chief Builder, Chief Architect, and Chief Dumbass behind the HoverTruck Update project. Okay, let's turn on my HUD and come out of that view. So, this is actually the second tour of this vehicle. The first one was a couple of years ago when I originally updated it from pre-Empyrion 1.0. I've just been made aware, thank you very much Sergeant Rock, that when you fill up the cargo container in the original updated Bobcat, it leans backwards and points its nose up in the air. So what I've done is I've changed this arrangement to help fight against that. Now it's changed significantly. I mean, it's not so significant that I need to redo absolutely everything, but I think a new tour is justified. So I'm not going to show you the original Bobcat HoverTruck that was built pre 1.0. I will, however, link the tour video for the original update when this was first built, so you can go and see that, but I'm not going to cover it in this one. However, everything else is going to be done fresh and new. Right, let's take you through the capabilities of the Bobcat HoverTruck then, starting with its role and its task equipment. So its role is a armed light logistics transport, or a armed light, yeah. So to facilitate that role, it has 5 seats including a driver. It also has a slot for a container on the back. I suppose you could also technically count the thrusters, because without those it won't be logisting anything anywhere. But, you know, whatever. Right, the next thing I'm going to talk about then is its propulsion, handling and lift capacity. Okay, starting with its forward propulsion, as I normally do. It has 2 large tier 1 thrusters and 2 medium tier 2 thrusters for forward thrust. Then in all other directions it has 2 medium tier 2 and 2 medium tier 1 thrusters. So that's laterally on both sides and front for reverse as well. Hover engines wise, so as you can see it has 6 small hover engines on by default plus 2 large ones at the back to help keep the back end up. It also has 6 other small ones that are set to max lift. Now with max lift off, apparently it will operate in up to 7.6 G. Now there is dry weight mine, that's not with anything in it, so I don't know how much even fuel is going to affect that, but apparently, according to the maths, 7.6 G. However, with max lift on, it can lift about 102 tons in 4G. It's actually 101.97, so I've rounded it up slightly. Now the vehicle itself weighs 37.6 tons, so it can lift a further 64 tons in the back. Now, as I said, it was pitching backwards and sticking its nose up in the air when it's full of stuff, and I was testing it with Sathium, and I was putting in 45 tons worth of Sathium in the back. That's how much can fit, based on the volume. And so in 4G you would still be able to carry around a full load of Sathium, at least in the stock cargo container as it comes. Okay, so onto its mobility, starting with its maneuverability. What's going on? Oh, of course. For some reason I always see the zeros first. AI. So maneuverability, it'll accelerate forwards at 22 meters per second square, and then it'll accelerate in all the other directions at 17. Now, the only one I find important with agility of a HV is its yaw, 27 degrees. Now, unfortunately, pitch, which is the next one for transitioning between flat ground and a slope, is only 7, but, you know, whatever. Okay, now, to save time, I'm not going to bother doing a test drive. The only thing I will say is, if you go and watch the old tour video, the only difference is those large tier 1 thrusters used to be medium tier 2s. So it's going to be ever so slightly faster in the forward direction, and maybe its yaw is ever so slightly different, but I can't imagine much. Right, that's the end of that segment then. So the next segment is going to be its power, fuel and air. As usual with my tours, I'm going to tell you about these things now and then show you where they are during the interior bit. So, power. It comes stock with 2 small generators. Fuel, it comes stock with 6 large fuel tanks. No, it doesn't. It comes stock with 6 fuel tanks total. 4 of them are large and 2 of them are small. It also has 4 O2 tanks and a ventilator. Right, moving on then to the next segment, which is its weapons, defences and construction. So weapons, it comes armed with 4 Gatling turrets. And those Gatling turrets I have set to what I consider to be my point defence. So they will target ground forces, including drones. It'll also target the weapons of small vessels. Defences, it is a well, it's sort of an armoured vehicle because it's supposed to be military, but the armour doesn't cover all of it. So it's hardened steel across the top and some of the important bits on the side, but quite a lot of it. Oh, there's also some combat steel armour at the front, as you can see, but some of it is also just normal steel. Not that I'm going to find any now. Okay, so I think actually the whole thing is hardened steel, although there is some little bits like this that aren't, but for the skin body. Okay, that's the end of that segment. I do apologise for not remembering absolutely everything, but apart from updating it to fix that nose-up issue just now, this was built years ago. Just the updated version was built years ago. Okay, so the next segment then is going to be its resource gathering, production and storage. So this is going to be a relatively quick one. Resource gathering, it has none. Production, it has none. Storage. Now I have decreased the ammo slightly in order to save CPU in order to fix the nose-up issue. So the ammo box now is 1125 SU. The main cargo container on the back here is still 7,500 and the one in the cockpit is still 375. It also has 2 large, 2 small cargo boxes, an armour locker and 2 mini fridges. Okay, so the next segment then is going to be its interior layout and any remaining devices. Yes, so the doors, or at the doors, the ramps and the 2 ground lights there and there are controlled by the motion sensor on the front of the front wheel arch, no, on the back of the front wheel arches. Also, there is a light on the cargo box which is controlled by that motion sensor down there, just so you can see what you're doing when you're getting into the cargo box. Anything else on the outside? Not really. It has some headlights and docking pads. It's missing hover boosters, save CPU. I didn't put any on. So the interior then. Door is manual, as it says when you point at it. Inside, the cockpit, cab is probably the best word. Driver seat on the right, because I use British in it, but, you know, Empyrion, it's not particularly difficult to swap that round, take up that seat, put a hollow projector there, move what's being displayed from that one onto it, then take away that one, move that seat across and put the pilot seat back. Okay, there are the 2 fridges. As you can see, there's the detector and there's the armour locker. There's the small cargo container, the 375. Lights in here are on that switch. There's one there and one matching on the other side. There's the ammo box for above. Like I said, 1125. There's the vent. 2 O2 stations. There's 3 O2 tanks there. There's the 4th. 2 small cargo boxes are there and there. And the 2 large ones are there and there. Yes. So, let's take you inside here. Actually, let's do it from in here. So, here's all the fuel behind there. And, yeah, in the top here, underneath that turret, is the CPU extender and the wireless connection. And in the front here is the core and the 2 small generators. Yes, okay. That's the end of that segment. So the next segment is going to be its shortcuts and signals. Now, for your convenience, the shortcuts and signal the device groups and signals shortcuts, that's better, are displayed on a heads-up display. But I will take you through them real quick. As usual, propulsion etc. is at the top of the device groups. That'll turn on all the thrusters and what I referred to as the default hover engines, or if I didn't, I meant to. The next one down is max lift. That'll turn on the other hover engines. Now, I've given you a headlight switch, and I don't really know why, because you can just press your keyboard shortcut, which I think is default to L. It is for me, but I don't know if that's the default or not. Did I take my helmet off? Oh, I did for the intro, didn't I? And the tail light, no, the ventilators are next. So, I'm going to go through this real quick, just in case you've seen this before, but I am going to cover it in case this is your first viewing. So if we turn oxygen off and watch the power left, it won't change, because although it's no longer blowing air into the cab, it doesn't save any power because it doesn't turn off the ventilator. So I've given you a switch to save a bit of power if you're in a breathable atmosphere of a planet or a ship. Okay, moving on to the signals. First we have power save. Now that doesn't do a lot. It'll turn off that motion well, all of the motion sensors actually, and the lever inside, just to save a bit of power. It'll also turn off the Wi-Fi and that projector, and I'm pretty sure that's it. Now it doesn't do the fridges because I don't want you to turn power save on and accidentally spoil the sandwiches. Next then, as you can see, is the turrets. You'll never guess what that does. The next one down is tail lights. So, as usual, my patented red flares on the back. If you don't like them, you can turn them off, and if you hate them, you can multi-tool them off. And finally, we have closed doors. So if you go into the vehicle and then sit into a seat, accidentally leaving it open, I wanted to give you a way to close it without getting out of the seat. So that's what that'll do. Okay, that's the end of that segment. So the next and last segment is going to be its CPU and upgrading. So, as I showed you earlier on, the core is there and the Tier 2 CPU extender is in the roof here. Now, its CPU usage is actually just over. It's 12,258 out of 12,000. Now, that does mean that it's at 96% efficiency. Now, as I usually say in my builds that are below 100%, if it goes to 95, so anything below 96, I will try to rework. And, I mean, this was already a bit of a struggle, but I probably could have reduced that container, really. But there you go. Oh, shush. So, upgrading. It does actually have an upgrade path. If you come underneath the vehicle, you'll see some shutter doors there and there, giving you access to the core and generator bay under the bonnet. Now, there is slots on the sides for 2 large generators, and you'll need these to power the shields, which you put in... Why do I keep coming out of God mode? Stop it. So more shutters near the back. So here we have the components kind of place. So there's obviously the fuel in here, and you can see the back of the stuff that's behind the rear seats. So, coloured blocks. So, you take... Actually, I can do this for reals, can't I? So these pink blocks here are for the pentaxid tank. Those are for the tier 3 CPU extenders. And then the pink blocks behind those is for the shield. Oh, really? So like magic, some happen to appear on my hotbar. So let's orientate that. Shield goes in there. Pentaxid tank stands up in front of it. Well, I mean, it doesn't have to. You can actually put it there if you like. I mean, I would put another fuel tank there, but it's up to you. So there, and then... Oh, no, no. Yes, CPU extenders there and there. And then, like I said, if you want, you can put another fuel tank there, since you don't need to access that space anymore. But there you go, that's what you would do with the generators in the front as well. That gives you a tier 3 with... Oh, sorry, I knocked my microphone. A tier 3 with shields. You can then also add extensions to this, which... Ooh. So 2.5 plus 1.25 is 3 3/4. So that'll take it to 10,750 SU if you fill in this space with container extensions. Now you could of course also come to the end of this lip and give it and make it even bigger if you like. Upgrade. You can upgrade the thrusters then as well. So the medium tier 1s can be upgraded to medium tier 2s. And the large tier 1 to large tier 2 if you like as well. Rightio then, so I think that completes the new tour after updating it for its pointing upwards problem. So thank you very much for taking an interest in the Bobcat HoverTruck. I hope you get some use out of it, and hopefully I will see you in another video for a different build. So thank you again, and goodbye.